words about the university system and also follow up on my rant against Geoffrey Hinton. I am of the opinion that the university system in the United States, and by the way, around the world, but let's just focus on the US, is bloated and desperately needs reform. And there's actually only one data point, in my opinion, that matters, and that is cost. Cost is absolutely unacceptable. And the reason the cost is so high at the university system is, in my opinion, it's not some sort of market-driven byproduct. It's a signal, and the signal is that there is corruption, complacency, and massive, massive inefficiency. So I'm in favor of changing the university system, and I think the best way to change the university system is to get the government out of the financing of universities. I know most of my academic friends, if they're still my friends, they probably don't agree with that, and that's understandable. I think it's understandable, and I understand why people in the academy are afraid of Donald Trump, why they're afraid of Doge and Musk. What they're afraid of is not the people. What they're afraid of fundamentally is the concept of cutting waste out of the system because they know that they're part of it. I want to elaborate why that is important and why I think it should be done. Because I personally don't have an axe to grind with a random professor at a university who is writing grants and financing his lifestyle and the lifestyle of his grad students with grants and government money. That is not my problem. Go do what you want. The problem is that I cherish the academy because knowledge is fundamental to the human existence. And the academy has found a way to generate knowledge, which I don't know how far back you want to go, but the first modern university is the University of Padua in Italy. The Renaissance in Italy comes up with a scientific method, rooting in Galileo, and then we have the Enlightenment and so on and so forth. So the history goes way back then, and then really propels into the modern age. And the scientific method, this method of try and error, of scientific inquiry, of developing knowledge, all of these things are great. I'm also in favor of fundamental research. I'm not the kind of person that thinks that everything has to have a return on investment on a 5-year horizon. It's okay to do research on projects that might take some more time. However, what I don't approve of is that we have billions and billions of government money channeled to universities for so-called research. I think where this is going fundamentally wrong is in the public health space. Without getting too political about this, I think it's fair to say that the return on investment that we as a society have over the last 100 years when it comes to medicine and pharmaceuticals is pretty dismal. Given the billions and billions of dollars that we've invested in research, the results are pretty dismal. If it hadn't been for penicillin and the massive advancements in hygiene and water treatment, I think society wouldn't be much healthier than it is today. We have great advancements in health science, such as, that's not even a science at this point, just, stuff like gyms and what Nike did, or say, for jogging and sports, in my opinion, is more important than what most billion-dollar grants are doing at university hospitals, because they've promoted healthy nutrition. What John Mackey did with Whole Foods has done more for the health of America than, again, the billion-dollar investments in medical research. And I think what's going wrong here is that we have people asking for grants, and the results that they are supposed to deliver are really basically not more than just writing the grant, and there's no accountability. Then there's the tenure system, which is also making people, basically just forever professors with a nice cushy job. So there's a lot of things going wrong here. And again, I am okay with all of these things. I don't want to take anybody's paycheck away necessarily, but the cost of education is just way too high. It's very similar with healthcare here in the United States. So, and the reason the cost is so high is because the system is corrupt and therefore it needs to change. So I'm in favor of Trump and his administration cutting down on government funding, closing down the DOE, basically getting the government out of the way. I think student loans are a snidey way to drive up tuition costs for everybody. Foreign students, master's degrees, things like that are basically, they're selling access to the American system through master's degrees. I think what Trump is suggesting with the golden green card or the gold card, whatever he calls it, in my opinion, is the right way to go. Like, if we are selling access to the American system, then let the government actually make that money. That's a tariff, and not the universities. The universities are in the business of research and teaching. And in fact, most of them are in the business of teaching. And if they're not in the business of teaching and they're not in the business of research, then they're country clubs. And then that's fine too. But then label yourself a country club. Label yourself a society for English reading or whatever you want to be. Don't call yourself a liberal arts college when in fact all you're doing is selling access to the American system through master's degrees for foreign students, or by writing grants that give you money for research that never sees the light of the day. That's my critique at the system, and I am in favor of radical cuts and then rebuilding the system. I'm not against academy. I'm not against the academy. I want to make that clear. I'm not against the academy. At Orange Capital Partners, we're investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices. We live off science and technology and entrepreneurship. But I just want to make it clear that the actual driver of the American dream and the nation and the success of America are not the universities. It's the entrepreneurs. I want to make that very clear. And there's a very simple proof for that. We have universities everywhere in the world, really good ones. We have them in Germany, in Switzerland, some of them even in France. The UK has some, and then we have lots of good ones in Asia, Australia, even Canada. And they don't have the kind of push that we see in people trying to get into our country. And particularly what I'm talking about now is the top-notch, the smartest people in the world, let's say the Indians and the Chinese. A lot of them come here because they want to participate in the American dream of building companies, participating in the startup community. That's what they're really looking for. They can get their education in Bangalore or Fudan or University of Heidelberg or whatever. Like, there's enough knowledge available around the world, but what's not available is opportunity. That's what people are coming here. So when the New York Times or whatever it was write recently that the American dream and American success is built on the university system, I respectfully disagree here. It's not the university. In fact, the university system is dragging us back. And you can see that with some of our most successful companies, particularly the newer ones, like Tesla and SpaceX and Anduril and NVIDIA and these types of companies that are really driving, even OpenAI, if you want, although I have my issues with that company, but from any which way you look at it, the big exciting things always come from a soul, a little bit crazy entrepreneur that has an idea. I mentioned John Mackey just a few minutes ago. He revolutionized grocery. Now, you want to go and study nutrition because of Whole Foods. You want to go and study aerospace engineering because of SpaceX. You want to go and study material science because of Tesla. You want to go and study AI because of Tesla or OpenAI. And it was also the Googles in the early days, and the Microsofts in the even earlier days, and the Apples. Fortunately, they've become dinosaurs now, so they don't count anymore. So I think I am in favor of cutting down, taking the government out of the system, cutting down on student loans, cutting down on all of these things. and re-establishing the academy for what it is, mainly for teaching. Let's not get our priorities mixed up here. Universities should be populated with teachers and researchers and students, and they should be supported by an admin staff whose job is to support research and learning, and not diversity and inclusion and all that nonsense. So the extreme divergence of the number of admin versus the number of actual faculty at most universities, particularly the top universities, is another sign for what's going wrong and a reason for the cost increase. So my conclusion, and I just wanted to follow up on my rant about Geoffrey Hinton, because I don't have anything personal against him. I think he's an overrated B-plus player who got a Nobel Prize in physics that he doesn't deserve. He showed his hand by attacking Elon Musk for all the wrong reasons. Musk is a driver for knowledge and science and progress. If anybody in the academy has a problem with Elon Musk, it's because he's showing them how pathetic they are. Musk is a consumer of knowledge on every level, and he is happy to take students, give them jobs, promote the people that go to school to good jobs, and give them prospects and inspire them. So to attack him for cutting down on waste can only have one meaning, which means that you are part of that waste. So again, I don't want to rant about Geoffrey Hinton here anymore. Check my previous episode on that. All I want to say is that I'm in favor of getting the government out of the funding structure of universities, particularly in the public health space. We've suffered through a whole COVID crisis because the public health space is corrupt. We live in a public health industrial complex dominated world, and that's very dangerous. And we saw what happens when during COVID, what can happen, lockdowns and actually the virus itself most likely came out of some sort of public health program. So we don't want that. But what we want is very strong, first and foremost, teachers. We want our professors to teach the next generation. And then we want research. The research can be done at the academy level. It can be done in the private sector. It can be done in privately funded institutions. There should be a market for that. And the government is crowding out all of these initiatives. So take the government out and align our teachings and our research with our entrepreneurs. This would be my message. Thank you.